I wanted a kid, so I picked Oliver. In Hawaii, I had a 7-day fling with him. At the end of those 7 days, I left a credit card on the bedside table and coolly headed back home. 3 years later, working in the shadows, I made a big move to become a popular mommy vlogger. The day after I hit 10 million followers, a group in black surrounded my villa. The mysterious Wall Street tycoon kicked in my door. "You sure know how to ditch the dad and keep the kid." I wanted a kid. So I chose Oliver. Because he's got a face like a movie star, can afford 5-star hotels, and in a restaurant, I overheard him on a work call. Brains and smarts were all there. I spent 2 weeks getting close, setting up chance meetings, until finally, I was in his room. Oliver's skills matched his looks. After a few drinks, my senses were heightened, and I wasn't handling my booze great. I watched him from above, giving me that look. With a grin, eyes like crescent moons, I opened my arms. He reached for something on the bedside, but I stopped him. "No need, I'm on the pill." His expression froze, then he fiercely grabbed my waist. "You're something else, aren't you, vixen?" I spent 7 days with him on the Hawaiian Isle. Entire 7 days, mostly in the hotel room. In the morning, I'd wake in his arms, opening my eyes to a face crafted by the gods. I touched his skin, tracing his features with my finger. That perfect nose, those beautiful eyes, the defined jawline. I got more excited the longer I looked. My mind picturing just how cute our future kid would be, boy or girl. Maybe my excitement was too obvious because he smiled. "What are you thinking?" I smiled back, fingers moving down. "Just thinking how great it is to see a face like this turn on my account." He rolled over, grasped my wrist, and with long fingers, wove through my hair, gripping the back of my head suddenly. When we'd had enough in the room, we'd head out and explore. On the island beach, the sea breeze lifted my skirt, and he pressed against me from behind, his bare upper body, hot and firm, against my back. His body was maddeningly hot. But I wasn't the only one who noticed that. When he turned to make a call, some blonde beauty hit on him. He waved her off and came back to me. I laughed. "You're quite the ladies' man." He replied, "Would I have caught your eye otherwise?" I noticed the blonde still eyeing Oliver, sparking my competitive side. So, I leaned down, leaving a lip stain on his chest. Then I looked into his eyes with a tempting glance. "You're mine." His eyes darkened, and he breathed heavier. That day, we didn't return to the hotel but instead found a nearby motel. The motel's walls were thin, and I had to bite my lip to suppress my sounds. Oliver's voice was husky, with a lazy drawl. "Wendy, don't hold back." 7 days of intense passion. After those 7 days, my assistant booked me a ticket home. Just as I confirmed the plans, Oliver showed up with wine and glasses. Wearing his shirt, my bare legs stretched out, I sunk into the couch. Turning off my phone, I leaned back, the shirt barely fastened, revealing much. He poured the wine, just as I reached for it. But he pinned me down, holding my throat with one hand, the other holding the wine glass, taking a sip himself before kissing me. Sweet wine followed his kiss into my mouth, my face heating up. After the breath-stealing kiss, he pulled back slightly and poured the remaining wine onto my body. The white shirt, now drenched in red, looked decadent. I thought, "It's the last night, let go one more time." I initiated the kiss. That night, while Oliver slept, I left a credit card on the bedside. My assistant was waiting downstairs with the car ready. 2 hours later, I boarded a plane back home, saying bye to everything there. The plan went smoothly, my period didn't show, and a test confirmed it 2 lines. Excited, I packed for France to take care of myself and 10 months later, had an adorable baby girl. My parents were thrilled with their grandchild and stopped meddling in my career. But 2 years on, a cute video my mom shared went viral, with over 1 million likes. I smelled a business opportunity. I transitioned from a jewelry company owner to a mommy vlogger. In just 2 months, my following hit tens of millions. And then, things went wrong. Wendy, just 2 years old, with her chubby, cute face and playful personality, was a hit. I didn't expect the viral boom. But business was down, and with short videos blowing up, many companies were thriving. My assistant got us a spiritual read on it, which seemed a perfect chance. My company sold jewelry and fashion, targeting women. As a hot mom figure, I could drive sales. As for Wendy's real dad, I never looked him up to avoid unwanted ties. I figured it was just a fling he'd forget soon enough. Even if he remembered, I could always pay him off. I've got money to burn. But I didn't expect he'd have more money. He didn't want my money, he wanted me. The night I hit 10 million followers, I celebrated alone at home with a little too much to drink. With Wendy at my mom's, I marked the occasion solo. I passed out on the couch. Next morning, my phone's loud ringing woke me up. Hungover, with my head pounding, I found my phone on the floor. It was my assistant calling. I had over 10 missed calls. What's the big rush? I frowned and hit the call button. As soon as the call connected, my assistant's hysterical voice screamed from the other side of the phone. "Boss, run for it." I was confused. The company wasn't in any financial trouble. But before my assistant could say more, someone used a bulldozer to crash open the gate of my villa. That woke me up instantly. I ran out barefoot, just to see dozens of men in black suits surrounding my villa. The bulldozer that smashed through my gate also flattened my succulents in the yard. Though I didn't understand what was going on, I'm Wendy, a woman who's seen some stuff. Barefoot and with messy hair, I yelled at those people. "Who are you guys? I've called the cops. Is this a lawless land now?" But then, a tall, cold-looking man stepped out from behind the bulldozer, wearing a black suit. He looked mad, like he was holding something back. His usually neat hair was messy, shirt untucked. Looked like he hadn't slept all night just waiting to confront me. When I made eye contact with him, my legs nearly gave out. He let out a cold laugh. "Wendy, keep on running." I wanted to run, but my legs felt like jelly. The call was still on, and my assistant's voice came through the phone again. She shouted, "Boss, the guy you hooked up with in Hawaii, he's the head of the booths on Wall Street. He found out you were pregnant and had disappeared. Last night, he staked out at your parents' house, took Wendy away this morning. Boss, run. If you get killed, who's gonna pay my salary?" The term head of the booths on Wall Street wasn't unfamiliar to me. Especially the one who'd risen to power in recent years, keeping a low profile online. Facing the man in front of me reminded me of the passionate nights we had on a Hawaii island 3 years ago. Now he looked like he'd burn me to ashes. "Mr. Oliver." My voice started to shake. Oliver walked over, stepping on my trampled succulents and stood right in front of me. What a plan, leaving me without a dad and keeping the kid. "No, I don't dare." "Is there anything you think I wouldn't dare?" I looked at the armed men surrounding my villa, and knowing from my assistant that Wendy was already with him. "It's Oliver, are you kidding me? Where am I gonna run to?" With a hangover and this shock, even a strong person like me collapsed like jelly. I slumped against the door frame and quickly admitted my mistake. "I'm sorry, Mr. Oliver. I know I was wrong." Oliver chuckled coldly, knelt down and took hold of my face, making me look at him. "Wendy, an apology doesn't cut it for what you've done." At this hour, some neighbors passed by on their morning run. It was a rich neighborhood, so they weren't easily fazed by men in black. They stood on their toes to see what was happening. Being a young, pretty, unmarried woman with a kid owning a huge villa had already made me the target of gossip, labeled as a kept woman. With Oliver's display, I'd be a definite kept woman in their eyes. To avoid becoming the talk of the complex, I grabbed Oliver by the pant leg, giving him a pleading look. "Oliver, Mr. Oliver, I'm begging you, it's my fault. Do whatever you want, but can we move inside to talk?" He might not mind the gossip, but I do. Oliver noticed the neighbors gathering by the gate. He glanced at my anxious look and laughed. "What, worried about your reputation?" I didn't answer, but as I noticed people's stares, I edged closer to him, using his body to block their view. Oliver raised an eyebrow and with gritted teeth growled under his breath. Only we could hear it. Now you care about your reputation, huh? When you abandoned me and ran off with your bank card, that was way worse for me. He said, Wendy, this is the price you pay. Huh? Sure, he said that, but he still took me inside. Though it wasn't my place, it was his. Where Oliver lived wasn't just a place. The private residence of the booth's leader was a top-tier city center apartment. The top 2 floors were combined into one. Huge panoramic windows showcased the city skyline. High up, it even had an infinity pool. The luxury was beyond the imagination of ordinary folks. The men in black stayed outside. Oliver sat on a black leather couch, eyeing me with disdain. I knew leaving him hanging was wrong. No regular guy could handle being treated like that, let alone Oliver, sitting above all. I tried to look sincere and meek, showing my remorseful attitude. Before he said a word, I nodded politely, took on the air of when I first pitched to clients during my startup days. Oliver, I didn't realize who you were at first. Had I known, even if I had 100 lives, I wouldn't dare approach you. Lowering my head, through the corner of my eye, I noticed how his expression was still like a thundercloud. Thinking I wasn't sincere enough. Deep down I felt that families of this caliber were really particular about their bloodlines. My family had some money, but compared to the Booths, it's like comparing a mouse to an elephant. Oliver's anger was real, probably because I'd stolen his legacy. Plus, leaving that bank card of mine hurt his pride. For someone like him, only he could throw around bank cards, dismissing others. My action hit a nerve. Seeing his silence made me worry for Wendy, fearing what Oliver might do. So I kneeled at his feet, hands clasped in a plea. Though I didn't want to admit it, to his family, Wendy was probably a bastard child. If the news got out, their family would gain a scandalous blemish. And with Wendy's baby fame online, they probably thought I'd planned this, threatening them to climb the social ladder. To prevent an exposure, they'd likely want to get rid of me and Wendy. The moment I thought of it, I started explaining. Oliver, don't worry, I promise I won't ever use the kid to threaten you. Honestly, I didn't know who you were back then. I never thought about bringing the kid back to find you, let alone trying to connect her with your family. Rest assured, I'll keep this secret and keep her far away from you and your family. I was sincere, my tone was soft, and I blinked hard to squeeze out a few tears. I felt like I could nail any audition at Beijing Film Academy, but to my surprise, the more I talked, the worse Oliver's expression got. His face was stone-like, and there was a dark glint in his eyes. If you looked closely, you could see his jaw clenching. I didn't get it. Why was he still so pissed off? I thought maybe he was more upset about the time I shamed him with a bank card. I needed to let him get his revenge so he could feel better. Maybe then he'd calm down. So, I gave him an apologetic smile. I shouldn't have left with your bank card, I realize that now. As I said this, his expression softened a bit. I was thrilled inside, thinking I finally found the right approach. I scooted closer and playfully punched his leg, acting all subservient. You should have been the one tossing a bank card at me and telling me to scram. I swear, if you do that, I'll happily leave. But before I finished talking, he shoved my hand away, not letting me touch him. His face was stormy silent, but I knew a storm was brewing. Wendy, you're even more shameless than 3 years ago. How am I shameless? Okay, sure, leaving while pregnant was kinda shameless. But it's not the end of the world. I was about to apologize like a drama queen when Oliver's phone rang. I was ready to say more, but one look from him and I shut up, sitting quietly while he took the call. I have no idea what the person on the other end said, but his face got even darker. After he hung up, he stood up. He glanced at me, cold as ice. Sit tight here, don't try anything funny, or else. He didn't finish the threat, just let out a cold snort and stormed out. I watched him walk out and slam the heavy, fancy front door. I stared dumbfounded, then flopped down on his expensive wool carpet. I rolled around. Let out a long, frustrated wail. What is even happening? Before they brought me here, they took my phone. I can roam around the house, but I can't contact the outside world. I have no idea how Wendy or my parents are doing. I've already pissed Oliver off, so all that's left is to sit tight, not stir the pot, and wait for him to come back and deal with me after handling his stuff. But I'm super worried about Wendy. They say rich families have deep, bitter feuds. Wendy's just too, so innocent and sweet. If she got caught up in family drama, how could she grow up happy and carefree? TV dramas always show kids from rich families growing up with scars. My poor Wendy, that can't happen to her. For Wendy's sake, I can't just sit around. So I snuck up to the second floor and found his study. His computer was password protected. I thought, maybe it's his birthday. But what was his birthday again? Sitting there, racking my brain, I recalled I'd seen his ID in Hawaii. He was a Scorpio, and somehow I pieced together his birthday from a fuzzy memory. But the computer said nope. What other important dates did he have? Couldn't think of anything, so I started rummaging through Oliver's bookshelves. The whole wall was lined with impressive books that screamed wealth. As I flipped through them, whispering little prayers, hoping it'd ease my guilt. After a while, I found a box among the expensive titles. It wasn't locked, looked like someone had recently opened it. I had a hunch it was important. A bit nervous, knowing how rich folks guard their stuff, I decided to take a leap for Wendy. Inside the box wasn't something pricey. Just a plain journal, a sunflower hairpin, and a lavender handkerchief. I opened the journal to the first page. March 12, 2011. First time I saw her. So high and mighty Oliver had a crush. I didn't dare read more, afraid he'd find out and silence me for good. But I memorized the date, entered 110312 on the computer. Bam, it worked. Prayed a thank you to the unknown girl from the diary. After putting stuff back, I logged into his computer and went to a video website. The assistant was handling the account at work. It was posting time, and she just uploaded some saved videos. The fans didn't know their beloved mama and baby had been kidnapped. I also looked up some news about Oliver, got some new intel. There wasn't much on him online. As the booth's eldest, he wasn't like other rich brats. Before taking over the booths, he kept a low profile, barely in the spotlight. 2 years back he assumed control from his dad. Still doesn't show up much on social media. What I do for a living is totally different from his family's empire, so I never noticed that the guy I tangled with in Hawaii was that big shot Oliver. Who would have guessed the random hottie I met in Hawaii was such a big deal? Anyone would say, what a lucky girl I am. Even though I couldn't reach my parents, nothing about Wendy was out yet. Seeing our account's growing fanbase gave me some comfort. With that many followers, the booths wouldn't dare mess with us anytime soon. I was hungover last night, and with everything that's happened, the day was getting late, and there was no sign of Oliver. After finding a bottle of water in the fridge and drinking it, I fell asleep leaning against the couch. I don't know how much time passed, but I vaguely felt like someone was close. My eyelids were too heavy to open, though. I just let myself be picked up. I was carried to a room. I might have been so dazed that I couldn't tell if it was real or a dream. The moment I was laid on the bed, I chuckled a couple of times and grabbed the person's collar to pull them down to me, saying in a dreamy voice, "Hee hee, handsome, let me touch you." I sensed the person above me stiffen. But since they didn't move away, I thought it was a dream and kept going. I pulled open their shirt at the waist and slid my hand inside. When my fingers brushed against those well-defined abs, I sighed in satisfaction. Just as I was about to go further, I heard a familiar but icy voice. Wendy. It was like the voice of death, jolting me awake. I opened my eyes and met Oliver's eyes, which were practically blazing. I was so scared I nearly jumped up, but he pressed my shoulders back down to the bed. He looked down at me from above. I tried to struggle, but he grabbed my wrists and pinned me to the bed. I was shocked. He sneered, "You're just as you were before, so shameless." I tried to escape, but with one hand he could hold both my wrists, with a lot more strength and size than me. I had to feign weakness. I softened my tone, giving him a flirty look. "It's because it's you, that's why I'm shameless." He didn't say anything, just looked at me. His expression was stern, and he frowned at me. "Wendy, you better behave yourself." Though his expression stayed the same, I could hear his breathing getting heavier, and his gaze deepening. I could tell that getting him now would be as easy as pie. My silk nightgown was super smooth. A slight movement of my shoulder, and it slipped off, revealing my pale shoulder. And with a movement of my leg, I exposed a lot of thigh from under the gown. "Oliver," I softly whispered his name with the gentlest voice I could muster in my life. As expected, he froze. His eyes grew even darker. "Trying to seduce me again?" Oliver chuckled lightly. I chuckled too. "This isn't seduction, it's just love reaching a peak. We're all adults, and if seducing him would get him to let Wendy and me off, I didn't mind." He grabbed my waist. "Then show me just how deep that love runs." When I woke up the next day, Oliver was already gone. But there was a gold credit card on the bedside table, along with a note. "Here's your reward." I laughed in disbelief. I knew he was holding a grudge from 3 years ago when I left him a bank card and ran off from his place. I picked up the card, examined it, and pocketed it in the end. Who refuses free money anyway? Plus, I earned it through good old physical labor. Even though Oliver gave me the card, he still wouldn't let me leave the house. While he wasn't home, I snuck into his study like I did the day before. First, I turned on his computer to check the news, making sure there was nothing about the Booth's illegitimate daughter. Once I confirmed that, I relaxed a bit. Sitting in Oliver's study, looking at the decor that totally fit his character, I got up and looked around, wondering if these rich folks did those secret room things like on TV. No secret room, but I found Oliver's secret box. Sure, it's pretty unethical to peek at someone else's private stuff. But Oliver had wrecked my home, so a little peek at his privacy wasn't too bad. So, I sat cross-legged on the floor and opened that diary inside. The diary started on March 12, 2011. On March 12, 2011, 16-year-old Oliver met a girl. According to his diary, he'd gained a lot of weight due to medication and surgery from an illness in his childhood, reaching 180 pounds. His family was low-key, so nobody knew he was the eldest son of the wealthiest Booth's family, which led to some exclusion in school. He was always alone, but his clothes weren't bad, so some bad students who got involved with outsiders targeted him. After school one day, they cornered him in an alley, demanding money. Oliver didn't dare resist, couldn't fight back or escape, so he had to give them his money. Realizing how easy it was, they asked him for money every day. Later on, their demands grew, wanting more than spare change. They even pushed Oliver to steal from his parents. Since Oliver refused, they beat him up. It was during this time, the heroine of Oliver's diary appeared. As Oliver was getting beaten, a bucket of slop got dumped from above, soaking those bullies. A few guys then got involved, fighting off the bullies. Oliver, crumpled on the ground, was approached by a girl in uniform scaling the wall. She grabbed his hand and pulled him out. Oliver didn't know what was going on, but the girl was so bright and cheerful, she led him from the dark alley into the sunlight. She revealed she'd seen him bullied several times before but was alone and too scared to speak up. This time, she saw him getting beaten and noticed a rival gang nearby, so she led them over. The bucket of slop was her idea too. Oliver used a lot of words to describe the girl, holding on to a humble crush, afraid that showing his overwhelming feelings would scare her away. She was a year below him, and they had PE at the same time. Oliver was overweight, and almost no one wanted to play with him, so he was always alone during PE. One day, as he sat on a stone bench in the sun watching everyone else have fun, a volleyball was tossed his way. In a scramble to catch it, he looked up and saw the girl's bright smile. She asked, "What are you doing sitting out here in the hot sun?" Oliver glanced at the shade, but the spots were all taken by girls. If he tried to go over, they'd probably give him a hard time. Seeing his awkwardness, one girl pulled him over to her class's area to play ball. Some boys teased her about playing with the chubby guy. She took off her shoe and threw it at their faces. Oliver said it was the most fun gym class he ever had. He didn't have much interaction with that girl. She was a year younger, beautiful, with a great personality, and a lot of friends. He could only watch from afar, looking at her like his sunshine. He was greedy yet insecure, and every time he thought about approaching her, he'd get scared off by her group of friends. So for over a year, nothing changed between them. Reading this, I closed the diary quietly. Who knew Oliver, now the powerful figure behind the booths, had such a little sad story back then? From my experience watching dramas, Oliver must have been thinking about her and looking for her all these years. Their love would be praised, and they'd become the admired couple in the circle. That would make me the evil supporting character using cheap tricks to have the booths air, breaking up the couple's love. And my personality being a bit like hers might just be why Oliver got with me in Hawaii in the first place. Knowing this secret didn't make me feel any better. Today, he got home early. I had just cooked myself some noodles when he walked in, and we locked eyes just as I was about to dig in. I gave an awkward smile, since it was his house after all, and offered, "Want some?" My chopsticks were still clamped on the noodles. I wasn't about to let go until he refused. But to my surprise, after staring at my bowl for 3 seconds, he said yeah. Then he sat across from me, took the bowl and chopsticks from me. "Eat up, no one can out-eat you, right?" I was furious but didn't dare show it, so I just turned to make myself a new bowl. By the time I came back with my new noodles, Oliver had finished eating. He didn't seem like he was leaving either. I ignored him and started eating on my own. His gaze was fixed on me, making me uncomfortable. Plus, after reading his diary today, knowing he had someone else in his heart, even the noodles didn't taste good. I'd eaten barely half when I put down my chopsticks. "Oliver, you must have done a DNA test and know Wendy is your child. Why do you keep me here?" He didn't answer directly, instead asking, "What do you think?" I rolled my eyes internally. "Oh, I think you want to kill me to keep it quiet, and then have Wendy brought into the booths as an illegitimate child, maybe even find her a stepmom." But I kept a poker face. I gave him a flattering smile and said, "Don't worry. Even though Wendy is your child, I never thought about coming back to fight for your inheritance. I didn't even know you were her father before. So don't worry, I only want Wendy. Give me Wendy, I'll leave right away and never bother you again. If you find someone you like in the future, I'll even keep quiet about how you stayed pure for her." The more I talked, the darker Oliver's face got. He stared at me, his eyes cold. "Just Wendy?" I nodded vigorously. "Nothing else?" "Yup, just Wendy. You won't mind if I find someone and get married?" "Yes, absolutely. In your dreams." Oliver suddenly burst out, leaving an angry comment before storming off to his study, slamming the door behind him. I was left standing there, thinking how unpredictable rich people are. Oliver stayed in his study until late at night. When I went to bed, he hadn't come out. Before sleeping, I locked the door just in case. Without a phone, I slept super early. But just as I was about to sleep, someone broke through the door. Standing there, looking furious, was Oliver, like a god of wrath. He held the broken doorknob in his hand, clearly not happy. "Why did you lock the door?" I was so shocked I stammered out, to keep you out." That just made him angrier. His anger also meant my back hurt more the next day. By morning he was gone again. I soaked in the tub for most of the day to ease the pain. Wearing a robe, I passed by the study and, out of curiosity, went back to find that diary. I'd only read half of it yesterday and didn't know what happened with Oliver and that girl. I found the diary, sat on the floor, and started reading. There wasn't much after that. Mostly Oliver's thoughts, without any more encounters with the girl. He wrote that a year later, she transferred schools, and since his family found out he was being bullied, they also transferred him to study abroad. That was it for their paths crossing. For years after, his diary was about mundane life, sometimes mentioning the girl, but only as a long-lost memory. I didn't have the patience to read it all, so I flipped to the back and saw. Can't believe I met her again. Just as I was about to read on, the study's door swung open. Oliver was standing there. Feeling guilty for reading his diary, I didn't dare turn on the light and was relying on the sunlight coming through the curtains. But he opened the door and flicked on the light, catching me red-handed like a thief. Within 3 seconds of locking eyes with him, I knew I couldn't hide. I closed the diary, threw it aside, and quickly shifted from sitting cross-legged to kneeling on the floor, hands together, and sincerely said, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I had no choice, living under someone else's roof." Wendy was still in his hands, so I had to play along for now. He was just standing at the door, looking at me with a blank expression. I couldn't figure out what he was feeling at the moment. If I were him, I'd be mad too if someone found out my secrets. I glanced at the slightly open window beside me, wondering if he might throw me out of it. Just as I was feeling anxious, he started walking toward me. I had to own up to it. After all, sneaking a peek at someone's diary is wrong. As he walked towards me, I was already imagining hundreds of possible scenarios. Finally, I braced myself, opening my arms like I was ready to take anything. Then I shouted, "If you want to kill or punish someone, come at me. Just don't hurt Wendy." But the expected punishment didn't come. When I opened my eyes, there was Oliver squatting in front of me, looking calm and not at all angry. I was stunned. Did he get so angry he lost his mind? He picked up the diary and then glanced at me again, still calm. "Where did you read up to?" I thought it was the calm before the storm, and my voice shook. I saw where you met her again." To be honest, I wanted to say I hadn't finished reading yet, but I was too shaky to get the words out. Then he smiled and kept asking me, "So, did you remember anything?" I was shocked inside. Are rich folks this twisted? Punishing me, but making me think? Carefully, I probed, remember what? Maybe he'd bring up old grudges together? Wow, this guy's terrifying. Didn't you remember anything? When he said that, Oliver's gaze changed. I grew even more puzzled, brainstorming for a while, but still shook my head under his expectant gaze. After I shook my head, Oliver's eyes dimmed, looking a tad sad. He looked down at the diary, some emotions I couldn't decipher flickering in his eyes. Even I could tell something was off with Oliver. But just as I was about to show some symbolic concern, he tossed the diary to me and stood up, back to his arrogant self. I was holding the diary, confused. Did he think I tainted it and just didn't want it anymore? I looked up at him and his cold gaze landed on me. "From today on, you're free." After saying that, Oliver left. I thought it over in my room for a long time and finally decided to change clothes and go home. Passing the living room, I unexpectedly found some desserts I liked on the dining table. Thinking he just went out earlier, he must have been buying desserts. Maybe he did have a thing for me after all. Otherwise, why would he buy me sweets? But the moment he got back, he caught me sneaking peeks at his diary to his first love. First love totally wins over me. So now he's kicking me out. My nose felt all tight and tingly at the thought. Fine, I'll leave. Who cares? I was kidnapped by him. So leaving without luggage felt normal. Everything I wore in use these days, he had me prepare before he left. But I didn't take anything with me. I got home safely, with my assistant watching workers fix my front door. When she saw me, she ran to me sobbing. "Boss, you're finally back." I was only gone a few days, but being cut off from the world by Oliver made it feel like forever. My parents didn't know anything about what went down in Hawaii back then. I just told them I broke up with my ex and planned to raise the kid myself. Now that Wendy's dad is here, having taken her away, my mom's losing sleep, putting her foot down. No matter what issues you and this jerk of an ex have, if he dares touch Wendy, I'm gonna fight him. While sipping her soup, I reassured her. Don't worry, Mom. Even if I have to tear down the booths, I'll get Wendy back. That's what I said, but I had no idea how to actually get Wendy back. Kidding me, it's the booths. I have some money, but can't compare to the booths. But I'm sure Oliver won't do anything to Wendy for now. That gives me time to catch up on work that piled up. With Wendy's account gaining more followers, our influence is spreading, and the company's product sales are rising. But I'm not feeling even a bit happy. This day, I went with my assistant to discuss a collaboration. The other guy seemed like a classy and polite man. Around 40 years old, well-dressed, seemed quite capable. Their company was interested in collaborating with us on a new production line. In the private room, it was just me, my assistant, him, and his assistant. Seeing the deal was almost secured, I poured a glass of white wine for myself. Ray, your straightforward style, it's a pleasure working with you. This one's on me. Even though I'd had a bit to drink, this glass of white wine didn't get me drunk. Ray seemed in high spirits. But after I set my glass down, he signaled to my assistant and his assistant. Business people always have things they don't want too exposed, I get it. So I let my assistant go out with his assistant. I thought he'd talk to me about work stuff. But who knew, once they left, Ray slid over, sitting next to me and leaning in. Ms. Wendy, what do you think of me as a person? I sensed something was off but didn't want to overreact if he didn't mean anything by it. So I kept smiling. Ray, you're a very successful businessman. Nah, not like that, he clicked his tongue, slightly drunken as he grabbed my hand. We're not talking business here. From a woman's perspective, what do you think of me? I knew a bit about Ray's background. He married his college sweetheart, had 2 kids, but divorced a few years back, losing half his wealth. Yet, he didn't complain, even investing heavily for his kids. Maybe because I also have Wendy, I tend to lower my guard seeing someone good to kids. But his actions made me uncomfortable. I awkwardly smiled and pulled back my hand. Ray, you've had too much. I'm not drunk, Wendy. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I've liked you. You're single, I'm single, and you can see I've got my life sorted. I can't stand those who use work as an excuse for their sleazy moves. Not only was I not making any money, but I was also getting this unwanted hassle. I swallowed my disgust and kept on smiling. Because at the end of the day, this guy has a signed contract with us. I can't just burn bridges. Ray, I'm not considering that issue right now. Who knew he'd get so worked up? How can you not consider it? You're almost 30 and you have a kid. In a few years, no one will want a woman in her 30s with a kid. I'm only okay with it because I like you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'm only 28. I held back my anger. You don't need to worry about my personal life. I can handle it myself. Even if I end up alone forever, I can still provide for my daughter. Looks like you've really had too much to drink. I'll just call your assistant to take you back to rest. I stood up intending to call someone from outside. But he caught on to my rejection, got furious, and sneered at me. Miss Wendy, you're really ungrateful. It's your luck that I even like you. Which man would want a woman with some random kid? Sure, you have fans now, but your daughter will always be without a father. She won't hold her head high as she grows up. As he spoke, he grabbed my hand in a creepy way. I can endure a lot for money. But when it comes to my daughter Wendy, nothing can stop me. Feeling cornered, and with a bit of liquid courage, I pulled my hand back and slapped him hard. You're the bastard. Since I hit first, Ray called the cops. At the police station, my assistant and his were going at it. I heard it all from the door. He was inappropriate, and that's why he got slapped. My assistant argued. Ray's assistant shot back, nonsense. Ray wouldn't do such a thing. You claim he was inappropriate, show us proof. There was no camera in the room, and that's why they felt so cocky. I looked at Ray sitting across from me. That slap was no joke, his glasses were knocked off his face. He shouted at me, "Wendy, you're done for. This deal's off, and I'll have my lawyers sue you. I've handled situations like this before. I'm not afraid of trouble usually, but I am tired. I just wanted to go home and sleep." I scrolled through my contacts and found a number I didn't remember saving. I guessed it belonged to Oliver. I had a gut feeling he could handle this mess. So, I called it. After 3 rings, someone picked up. There was background noise, like at a private club with card games going on. "Hey," I said, testing the waters. Everything quieted down immediately. Even the music got softer. The man on the other end had a deep voice. He gave a short "mhm." "I'm at the police station." "Someone just called your daughter a bastard," I said. There was a brief pause. "I'm on my way," he replied. I was pretty nervous before making the call. Would he answer? Would he actually come? Those doubts vanished when he said he'd come. They turned into a more intense feeling. Half an hour later, Oliver showed up. He was tall and had an assistant and a lawyer with him. Ray recognized Oliver and ignored my presence, rushing towards him with a flattering smile. "Oliver, what brings you here?" But Oliver looked past him and found me. After the slap I gave Ray, he tried to retaliate, spilling wine on me and messing up my hair. I looked pretty rough. Ignoring Ray, Oliver walked straight to me and offered his hand. Since I was the one who called him, I wasn't shy and took it to stand up. His eyes scanned my face. "Did you get hurt?" I shook my head, then extended a finger. "Broke a nail during the slap." Oliver didn't question further, just took me by the hand and walked out. Ray, seeing Oliver holding my hand, looked like he'd swallowed a fly. He wanted to explain, but Oliver's assistant stopped him. "Anything you need, talk to me." My assistant stuck around to wrap things up while Oliver led me away. His driver was waiting outside. In the car, I caught a whiff of alcohol from him. "Where to?" he asked. "Home," I replied, then added, "My home." Oliver was silent for a while, then murmured, "All right." The driver knew what to do and hit the gas. Oliver didn't speak on the way. With his eyes closed, I turned to see city lights racing by. His profile was sharp and perfect. There's a difference between rich people and folks like Oliver. You can't see the money on him, but everything about him shows unparalleled ease. If it weren't for my attempts to flirt with him back in Hawaii, we'd probably never have crossed paths. Noticing my gaze, he opened his eyes. "What are you looking at?" I grinned, not hiding it. "You, because you're handsome." He chuckled, seemingly amused. The atmosphere in the car lightened after that. When the driver stopped at my gate, I glanced at Oliver. His face was unreadable. "Anything you need to say?" I hadn't spoken yet when he beat me to it. I paused while opening the door. "Well, since you asked." I turned back with a groveling smile. When are you returning Wendy?" "She'd miss her mom." "Get out." Before I could finish, he told me to scram. What choice did I have? I got out of there. As I left the car, I mumbled under my breath. "You said to speak up, yet when I did, you told me to get out." Mixed signals, man. I stepped back into my place, turned on my computer in the study, did a bit of work, and then headed to the bathroom to wash away the day's stress. After my shower, I returned to my room in my pajamas, ready to close the curtains and hit the sack, when I noticed something unexpected. Oliver's car was still parked outside. The car window was slightly down, so I couldn't quite tell if anyone inside was watching me. Maybe he just stopped to handle some work. No need for me to get my hopes up. I closed the curtains and got into bed. Yet, despite my exhaustion, I couldn't fall asleep. My mind was restless. Checking my phone, I saw it was past 2 a.m. I got up and reopened the curtains, but the car and anyone in it were gone. See, it wasn't about me. With Oliver handling it, I wasn't worried about the outcome. And sure enough, the next day my assistant filled me in. The partnership continued as usual. Ray got fired from his old company, and his past misdeeds came to light. Turns out his wife divorced him for soliciting and for using company funds on a mistress. Everything was settled smoothly. But then, a new problem popped up. No clue where it started, but suddenly, this juicy gossip with me, Wendy, and Oliver hit the trending list. A clickbait headline about a celebrity kid being an illegitimate child of a wealthy family wouldn't go away. My worst fear had come true. I thought the Booths would care about their reputation and work to take this rumor down, but nothing happened for half the day. Just when I was about to call Oliver, someone showed up in my office. Strutting and wearing Louboutins, a Chanel suit, and carrying an Hermes bag came Lily, a bigwig heiress. She stormed in, grabbed the hot coffee off my desk, and hurled it at me. Naturally, it didn't hit me, but she did manage to scald herself and shrieked on the spot. "You tramp! How dare you seduce my brother?" I was stunned, and you are. I mean, yeah, I did hook up with Oliver, own that. But who was this lady, and why was she barging into my company? She scoffed, chin lifted haughtily. "I've been with my brother since forever. I'm not like you other women. I'm his future fiancé." Eyebrow raised, I shot back, "Sorry, but I've known him for ages, and I've never heard about any fiancé." That was true. When we were in Hawaii, I made sure he was single before making a move. I never mess with married men. My words seemed to ignite her rage. She started hurling insults. "I've seen many like you. Think sleeping your way in will get you into high society? Let me tell you, the Booths wouldn't look twice at your kind." Ignoring her, I concentrated on Wendy's situation. I'd already seen online claims about Wendy being an illegitimate child of mysterious origins. I was busy gathering evidence and contacting the authorities and had zero interest in this drama queen. So when she lunged at me, ready to throw down, my assistant had already called security. She couldn't get to me, so she shattered my office instead. I told my assistant, take note of what she broke and report it for a decent claim. Then I headed out. The heiress still tried to come at me again, but my assistant tackled her by the leg, yelling, "Boss, run. I'll handle this." Dark amusement washed over me. Anyone would think I was some damsel fleeing for her life in an old-timey chase scene. If the Booths won't step up, I will. I reached out to some major marketing accounts to help issue a statement, making it clear Wendy is in no way an illegitimate child or leverage for marrying into wealth. The account managers liked Wendy a lot, and with some cash incentives, they quickly pulled together a narrative. When their video went viral, the Booths officially posted a statement: "The Booths have no illegitimate children." This statement crushed the rumors, and all the gossip vanished. I let out a big sigh of relief, knowing Wendy would no longer be harassed. But then it hit me: the Booths were denying Wendy's existence. Oliver's face appeared in my mind. Does he not want Wendy either? A wave of sorrow washed over me. Our meeting was serendipitous. Having Wendy was my choice alone. If Oliver didn't acknowledge her, so be it. My sadness didn't linger. As a mom, there's no time for feelings when fighting for your kid. If the Booths won't acknowledge Wendy, why take her in the first place? I'd already hired a private detective to trail Oliver, so I knew Wendy was at the Booths' estate. I'd been cautious because of their influence, but enough was enough. After changing into some comfy clothes, I headed straight to the Booths' estate. My plan was to march right in and bring Wendy home. But before reaching the main entrance, I noticed a damaged section of their wall. Seeing no one around, I slipped right through. Given it was midsummer, not many were outside, and though there was plenty of surveillance, if I was daring enough to kidnap my own daughter, I wasn't scared of some cameras. So, in I went, strolling like I owned the place. Walking through, I passed two maids carrying trays, dressed identically. They paused, staring in surprise. With today's explosive news about Wendy at the Booths, they surely recognized me. I got straight to the point: I'm here for Wendy. They shared a glance and one gestured for me to follow. This way, please. Following her through the winding corridors, we arrived at a small garden. From a distance, I could already hear the delightful sound of Wendy's laughter. I spotted Wendy, along with an elderly woman. From following the news about the booths recently, I recognized Oliver's grandmother. She was playing with Wendy, who looked adorable in a pretty little dress. Wendy's hair was styled in 2 cute pigtails, and she sported a shiny gold necklace. Wendy was chasing a butterfly and accidentally fell onto the grass. Oliver hurried over, visibly worried. "Oh no, my darling great-granddaughter, are you okay?" I frowned, thinking this wasn't exactly how I pictured things. Didn't the booths issue a statement saying they didn't have any children out of wedlock? I assumed Wendy's situation at the booth's old house would be tough. But seeing this now, it seemed like she fit right in. I stood in the shadows, watching Oliver play with Wendy. When they were tired of playing, Wendy sat on a bench in the pavilion, sipping the fruit tea Oliver handed her. She pouted, "Grandma, how much longer until I can see my mom?" "Ah, my dear daughter still remembers me." Oliver sighed. "Grandma wants to see your mom too, but your dad is useless, hasn't settled everything with your mom yet." I was kind of surprised to hear that. After overhearing for so long, it felt rude not to reveal myself. I stepped out from the shadows, and Wendy immediately spotted me, excitedly running into my arms. "Mom." I hugged her and then greeted Oliver. "Oliver, I'm sorry for just showing up like this. I just missed Wendy too much." Oliver wasn't surprised at all, smiling and inviting me to sit down. "Oliver brought you here, right?" I was a little embarrassed, but I admitted, "No, I climbed over the wall myself." The look on Oliver's face suddenly changed. "Useless thing." Seeing my confusion, the old lady quickly explained, "I wasn't talking about you, but my useless grandson. He said he would sort things out and bring you back, but still messed it up." I was a little puzzled. I mean, usually, when people find out their grandson has a kid outside, they'd be suspicious. Plus, the Booths are a wealthy family. Like that woman who came by today said, there are plenty of women who want to get close to Oliver. After thinking about it, I decided to ask her. "Oliver, aren't you worried that I'm just someone who wants to use Wendy as a ticket into the family?" To my surprise, Oliver just smiled. "I'm cautious about other people, but not about you." What was going on? I hardly know Oliver. I haven't saved the old lady or anything. Seeing my confusion, Oliver began to explain. Her explanation reminded me of something from the past. She said Oliver, as a teen, got sick and gained a lot of weight from medication, becoming a chubby kid who got bullied at school. But he was too proud to tell anyone, and his parents were too busy to notice. We only found out when he came home all bruised up. They wanted to help, but he said someone had already taken care of the bullies for him. Later, he told us he made a friend at school. Oliver had written about this in his diary, so I wasn't too surprised by what she was saying. But then Oliver said, but eventually, that girl transferred, and we sent him abroad to study. During those years overseas, he slimmed down but remained a bit insecure, refusing to date. Then, 3 years ago, he called me from Hawaii saying he met that girl again. 3 years ago. Hawaii? Could the girl he was talking about be me? Seeing my shock, Oliver confirmed it. "Yup, that girl was you. But he told me you didn't remember him, so he came back downhearted. I thought that was that until recently he suddenly said he found you, and you too had a child. I didn't believe him until he brought Wendy to me. After his parents passed, it was just the two of us in the family, so Wendy's arrival felt like a gift from the skies." Wait, what? I was completely stunned. So, Oliver and I have known each other for a long time? I started to recall my high school days, when I was 15. I'm 28 now. 13 years have passed. I used to be a helpful person during my school days, helped many people. My friendship with the chubby kid back then wasn't deep. And about the girl in Oliver's diary who transferred, I never transferred. I took a break from school because I injured my leg doing something brave. So, was the chubby kid I helped back then really Oliver? So all this time, I was jealous of myself? Still processing this, Oliver happily led me back to rest, saying I should stay for dinner. Wendy had a beautiful princess room here, and everyone treated her with respect, calling her Miss. I felt at ease knowing the Booths had accepted her. I rested in Wendy's room. She was thrilled to see me. "Mom, you finally came to find me. Grandma said you were mad at Dad, so you couldn't come." I sighed, letting it be. Wendy hugged me. Dad is really handsome and nice to Wendy. He even prepared a huge diamond ring to propose, so don't be mad. Propose? I thought, remembering Oliver's cold demeanor. How could he possibly propose to me? When it was time for dinner, Oliver called us to eat. There were about 7 or 8 servants busy preparing the meal. As soon as I sat, Oliver said, "I called that brat to come back. He should be here soon. Let's have a good meal and talk things through." Not long after, an engine roared outside. Then, footsteps approached, and Oliver appeared in a smart black suit. When he saw me, he seemed happy for a moment but quickly composed himself, asking, "Why are you here?" I smiled slightly. "Oliver and Wendy invited me." Oliver didn't like his tone, sternly saying, "I invited her. If you can't speak nicely, then don't." In Oliver's presence, he quietly sat across from me. The vibe at dinner was super weird. Ever since I realized that the person in his diary was me, I just couldn't stop laughing. This guy has been playing hard to get these past few days, hasn't he? Finally, after what felt like forever, we finished eating, and Oliver cheerfully led Wendy away. I looked at him. "Take me for a walk." Oliver didn't say a word but got up and led me to the back garden. As we walked through the pavilion above the pond, he broke the silence. "Did Oliver tell you?" I nodded. "So why didn't you tell me earlier?" He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Because I was mad. I thought you recognized me in Hawaii, but you just wanted to father dump and ran off, leaving me behind." I felt a bit awkward. No doubt, I handled that wrong. "So, if I never figured it out, would you still like me?" He stopped in his tracks, turning to look directly into my eyes. His eyes were really something. Before, when we were in bed, I'd often get lost in them, completely captivated. After a moment, he spoke very seriously. "Of course. I was just upset. Once I got over it, I'd come find you." So all this time, he was just sulking, huh? I thought for a bit and then asked, "Why did your official account say there's no illegitimate child in your family? I thought you didn't want to acknowledge Wendy." To which he replied, "Wendy is my biological child, the first and only child of this generation of the Booths. How could she be illegitimate?" Oh, so that's what he meant. I then asked, "Wendy mentioned you got a big diamond ring ready to propose." He didn't deny it and nodded. My eyes lit up. "Where's the ring?" He smirked. "You're happier to see the ring than me." He gave a cold laugh, back to his usual teasing self. "I'm still mad, so I'm not giving it to you yet. I couldn't let that happen. That big diamond ring had to be mine soon." So I stood on my tiptoes and planted a kiss on his lips, looking at him eagerly. "Still mad?" He showed a flicker of emotion but quickly took control, slowly moving closer to me. "Wendy, back in Hawaii, you weren't this sweet to me." I felt a bit shy, even though I'm typically a bit of a flirt. But this is the old family home, with Wendy and Oliver around. As he drew nearer, I turned my head to avoid him. "No, someone will see." But he just grabbed my chin, making me look at him. He laughed in that dangerously seductive way. "Haven't you noticed? The backyard's empty. Oliver's giving us some alone time." It suddenly hit me. When we went to eat, there were people all around. But now, this huge garden was deserted. I blushed deep red as his warm lips met mine. We shouldn't waste Oliver's kindness. Of course, I spent the night at the old house. And of course, I had a sore back the whole night. The next day I slept in, waking up mid-morning. My phone was buzzing with calls from my assistant. When I picked up, she sounded frantic. OMG, boss. Wendy's become the little princess of the elite. I checked out the news she saw on Instagram. The Booth's official account put out a late-night statement. It said Wendy wasn't an illegitimate child, she's the first grandchild of the Booths. And about me? It stated, previously not publicized because our CEO, Oliver, hadn't gotten official approval. Now officially announced, Miss Wendy is Mr. Oliver's fiancée, and the engagement ceremony is soon. As I read, someone stepped out of the bathroom. This ridiculously good-looking guy, wrapped in a towel, surrounded by steam, slowly approached. He slipped a massive diamond ring onto my finger. So, Miss Wendy, when can we make it official and get a marriage license? Epilogue. The night we registered our marriage, Oliver's friend Ray sent me a video. It was from some private club. The typically no-nonsense, authoritative Oliver, head of the Booths, was drunk. His face was a shade of red, and he was crying into his hands. She doesn't remember me. She only wanted the baby. I gave her the chance to leave, and she jumped right out of my life. She doesn't want me anymore. What do I do? Watching the video of him bawling, I couldn't help but laugh. Man, guys in love really lose their minds sometimes. But we've got the marriage license now, so what choice do I have? Guess I should be nicer to him.